The plugin manager allows us to access all of our plugins on our Joomla website. You'll notice in the top right we've got edit, enable, disable, check-in, options, and a help box. We can sort through our plugins by clicking on the plugin name. We can sort by status, ordering, type, element, accessor ID. You may not see this little sort box here in this disk, nor these up and down blue arrows. If you don't see them, just click on ordering and they'll show up. And when you click on ordering, you'll be able to move things up and down with the up and down arrow, or you can move them by simply typing in, ordering them numerically by saying, oh, I want this one to be number 1, I want this one to be number 2, I want this one to be number 3, and then click on the little disk here. It says save order, and that'll reorder those things for you. We can search for specific plugins by typing in a search term here in our filter. If we only wanted to look at system plugins, we can do that here. We can hit clear to get back to our original view. We can sort by status, enabled or disabled, and this is helpful because some people working in Joomla, when something doesn't feel like it's working right, or you feel like something's broken, oftentimes you've overlooked a plugin that hasn't been configured properly, or it may not excuse me, it may not be active. In that instance, it's helpful to be able to sort by disabled and come look at all these things and say, okay, well, what should be on that isn't, and then you can click on it in order to enable that specific one. You'll notice that it disappeared from our list because we're looking at everything that's disabled, and once we enable something, it's going to be removed from this list. When we want to go back to our default view, if we click clear over here, that's not going to get us back to where we want to go. We need to come back up to our drop down, the sort drop down, and select the status one there, and that'll bring us back to the screen, the main screen that we're on. We can sort by type, we can sort by access. Again, you can sort by clicking on any of these, the blue text here at the top of the columns. The check-in button is used for administrators. If there's another admin that isn't checked in, that is using an item and they haven't checked it in, you'll see a little lock next to the item, an orange and yellow lock, like a padlock that says this item is locked. That means they didn't finish their session. They probably hit the back button, or they exited their session, or it timed out without them hitting save or close when they were in the item. And that looks like this. If I come in to work on an item and I don't hit save or close and I click my back button, Joomla assumes that I didn't finish what I wanted to do because I didn't save something and I didn't close it, or I didn't save and close it. And so it's going to lock the item. The significance of that is that if you have multiple admins working in the back end and somebody does something, and this is a principle that applies throughout the entire back end of Joomla, whether it's a content item, a piece of content, a module, component, whatever it is they're working on, if someone doesn't finish their session with a save and close, or a close, and they hit the back button on their browser, it's going to get locked. And so you as the super admin will need to check those items in, and that happens under Site, Maintenance, and Global Check-in. And there's a video in there that shows you how to do that as well. You just select the item and then click Check-in, and it'll override their user session, so to speak, and bump them out. You want to make sure too that you don't, if you have a lot of people that are contributing content to your site, and you go to a piece of content or a plugin or anything like that, you need to make sure too that on your control panel, if you're the super admin, that you don't have a bunch of super admins that are logged in, because if they are logged in, someone might be working on something, and then if you check it in, it effectively will bump them out of it. So be mindful of that as well. On the Options tab, we basically have permissions. We can manage the permissions settings for the specific user groups, and which user groups have access to this component and how they can affect change in it. Once you're done setting those, hit save and close. And that's about it for the plugin manager. It's pretty straightforward. At the bottom, we can change our page. We can change the pagination by saying, hey, you know what, show me 100 of them, and that way you can look at all the different ones at a time. Or if you don't like that long list, you can shrink it up a little bit by choosing to view less, using that drop down, and then just use the next button or the end button to progress through the list. So hope that was helpful.